The Nigerian Army's recent decision to compensate the family of 16-year-old Ismail Mohammed, who was tragically shot dead during the End Bad Governance protest in Kaduna State, has sparked widespread outrage and disbelief. The compensation amount, a mere 300,000 naira, is not only insufficient but also deeply insulting to the memory of a young life cut short by those who want to protect it. While the admission of responsibility and the offer of compensation could be seen as steps in the right direction, the paltry amount offered starkly highlights the disconnect between the authorities and the value of human life. 300,000 naira is an embarrassingly meager sum for the life of a young boy brutally taken in the prime of his youth. It is a feeble attempt to placate a grieving family and a traumatized community, both of which have been deeply scarred by these senseless acts of violence. The protests that Ismail Mohammed participated in were born out of frustration with systemic issues that plague Nigeria, including corruption, police brutality, and poor governance. The End Bad Governance movement and offshoots of the End SARS protests called for a fundamental change in how the country is governed and how its citizens are treated. Ismail's participation in these protests was a testament to the rising discontent among Nigerian youths who are demanding a better future. This compensation raises fundamental questions about the value placed on human life in Nigeria. Is 300,000 naira truly the value of a life in Nigeria, or is it merely a token gesture to appease the public and deflect criticism? This amount not only undervalues the life of Ismail Mohammed, but also sets a dangerous precedent for how the lives of citizens are perceived by those in power. The issue goes beyond the inadequate compensation. It speaks to the systemic problems that plague the Nigerian security apparatus, the culture of impunity, the blatant disregard for human rights, and the excessive use of force by security personnel remain unaddressed. These are the root causes that led to the tragic death of Ismail Mohammed and will continue to lead to further tragedies if not urgently reformed. The Nigerian Army must do more than just offer compensation. It must take concrete steps to ensure accountability, transparency, and justice. There must be a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding Ismail's death, and those responsible must be held accountable. This is not just a matter of justice for one family, but a crucial step towards restoring public trust in the institutions meant to protect them. Moreover, the Nigerian government must implement broader reforms to address the systemic issues within the security forces. Training programs focused on human rights, the use of non-lethal force, and community policing are essential. The culture of impunity must be dismantled, and a new era of accountability and respect for human life must be ushered in. To understand the depth of this issue, one must dig into the root causes of such tragedies. The Nigerian security forces have long been criticized for their heavy-handed tactics, lack of accountability, and widespread human rights abuses. These issues are not isolated incidents, but part of a larger systemic problem that requires comprehensive reform. For years, activists and human rights organizations have documented cases of extrajudicial killings, torture, and other forms of abuse by security personnel. Despite numerous reports and recommendations, meaningful actions has rarely been taken. The result is a security apparatus that operates with near impunity, often viewing citizens as threats rather than individuals with rights and dignity. The culture of impunity within the Nigerian security forces is deeply entrenched. Officers involved in human rights abuses are rarely held accountable, and when they are, the consequences are often minimal. This lack of accountability creates an environment where abuses can occur without fear of repercussion, perpetuating a cycle of violence and mistrust.
Decent person, kuma she loyal, very class boy, kuma educated boy, very intelligent. Yana makaranta, zai shiga SS1 yanzu. Zai shiga SS1. Sana'a shi dinki, tailor ne, best student. GOC ya zo na Face Mechanized Division ko na wannan jaji na yawa na Kaduna. Sannan kuma commander na Basawa sun zo jiya muna tare da suna har karfe har magarba exactly. Sun zo sun mana condolence sun nuna mana ayi hakuri kuma insha Allah za su bi mana haƙin. silma sun ƙara kawo mana invitation letter yau cewa suna neman wanda suka yi da ido akan abin euthanasis. Gobe mu je, muka ce ba za mu je ba sai dai su zo da mota su dauke mu for security purpose.
Ismail Mohammed's death is a stark reminder of the urgent need for reform. It is not enough to offer financial compensation. There must be a genuine commitment to change. This means holding those responsible for his death accountable and implementing systemic reforms to prevent future tragedies. The Nigerian government must prioritize the training and re-education of its security forces. This includes comprehensive human rights training, emphasizing the importance of non-lethal methods of crowd control and fostering a culture of respect for human life. Additionally, there must be independent oversight mechanisms to investigate and address abuses within the security forces. The government must address the underlying social and economic issues that drive protests and civil unrest. Corruption, unemployment, and lack of access to basic services are significant factors contributing to the frustration and anger seen in movements like End Bad Governance. Addressing these issues requires a holistic approach involving investment in education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. The family of Ismail Mohammed, and indeed the entire Nigerian populace, deserve more than a token gesture of compensation. They deserve a sincere commitment to justice, to meaningful reform, and to the recognition that every Nigerian life is valuable. The tragic death of Ismail Mohammed should serve as a wake-up call, prompting a national reckoning with the way security forces operate and how they value human life in Nigeria. The 300,000 naira compensation offered by the Nigerian army is an insult beyond imagination. It trivializes the profound loss suffered by Ismail Mohammed's family and undermines the severity of the systemic issues at play. The Nigerian army and the government as a whole must ensure that such tragedies never happen again. The family of Ismail Mohammed, and indeed the entire Nigerian populace, deserve more than a token gesture of compensation. They deserve a sincere commitment to justice, to meaningful reform, and to the recognition that every Nigerian life is invaluable. The tragic death of Ismail Mohammed should serve as a wake-up call, prompting a national reckoning with the way security forces operate and how the value of human life is perceived in Nigeria. The 300,000 naira compensation offered by the Nigerian army is an insult beyond imagination. It trivializes the profound loss suffered by Ismail Mohammed's family and undermines the severity of the systemic issues at play. The Nigerian army and the government as a whole must do more to ensure that such a tragedy never happens again. The path forward must be one of accountability, transparency, and genuine reform, where every Nigerian life is truly valued and protected. As Nigeria moves forward, it is important that the lessons from Ismail Mohammed's death are not forgotten. His life and the lives of countless others affected by similar tragedies must catalyze change. Only through meaningful reform and a genuine commitment to justice can Nigeria build a future where all its citizens are truly safe and valued.